Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 29. Check the Wire podcast. Myself, DanGheesling, Ryan, Gary, Northernlion, the Turno, as you may know him on YouTube and Twitch. Excited to be here today. Ryan, what's going on?
Not too much. What's going on with you, Daniel?
Hey, kind of like I just wrapped up the busy week. Had a lot of sponsor stuff. You're at like the tail end. You're like round in second, halfway to third, and you're almost there.
Yeah, Thursday, which is today, and Friday are going to be really busy. And then after that, I feel almost like a summer vacation. You know, the feeling like, well, you got one more assignment, but once that assignment finishes, like, I'm good.
Yeah.
Because I told David, this is the last sponsored thing in advance of the baby. So once this is done, it's like you're turning the throttle down to zero. You're putting the flaps down, and we're trying to get a visual confirmation of where the runway is, and we're coming in.
You don't necessarily have to put the flaps down to land. Just so you know,
you don't have to do anything. You don't have to put the landing gear down to land if you want. You don't even have to put the throttle down, but I would suggest that you do.
But speaking of like tests and like scantrons and stuff, did you ever try to mess with scantrons as a kid? Like, do you know what a scantron is?
Yeah. Like the multiple choice, you fill it out with pencil and then it automatically marks it for you.
Yeah. Do you believe there was any way to like resin or break the scanner? Did you ever I feel like if anyone could figure out how to do that, it would have been you.
I just wrote the answers that I thought were correct in the bubble, and then but I don't know, what did you do? You try to fill in like multiple answers for each question or something? Or
so I only have one story where I threw a test, and there were two high schools and when growing up, and I wanted to go to one where all my friends were going, and then my parents forced me to go to one where you had to take an entrance exam. So, you know me, in 8th grade Daniel, I'm like, I'm not going here, and I'm going to make sure of it. So I took the Scantron, did like Mickey Mouse faces on it. And then my mom brings me in. She's like, hey, like these test scores aren't right. We know, you can do better than this. I'm like, well, I guess it looks like I'm not going to that school. And she goes, nah. Guess like you don't know there's a legacy program where if your sister automatically goes there, you automatically get in. So I learned at an early age. If there's plans in place, don't mess with the Scantron. So with that being said, let's get into the hard W's of the week.
Yeah.
Hit me with your hard W, or you want me to start?
Yeah, I didn't even fill out the sheet. I'm going to be honest. So like my whole week has been screwed up because of sponsor stuff. And then today I dropped our car off at the mechanics to get an oil change and get the tires rotated at like 8 a.m.
I thought you don't use your car.
I don't, but you still got to change the oil.
Do you though?
I think it goes bad. It's got an expiration date.
Okay.
Because I don't know if it's a scam, but they give us the sticker that's like, hey, in 25,000 or when you hit 25,000 kilometers or in 6 months, whichever comes first.
Yeah.
But anyway, so like my whole day is like, normally I've recorded 0 by the time that Check the Wire comes out. I've already recorded like 3 videos. I'm off. I don't know what my internal clock is totally off. But dubs of the week though, there's many little dubs. Let's call this a week of little dubs. Okay. Doki Doki finished and everybody was stoked. It went very well.
Was it from, because we know it historically from like a linear game, like episode 1 pogs off, dips, and then ending. How was the trend for the whole series?
I mean, down, but like low, like lightly negative, I would say. So I don't know. The first episode probably has like 80 or 90,000 views, which is really good. Yeah. And then the last episode probably has like 45 or 50, which is still more than you would expect. Yeah. So it seems like when people typically they watched a little bit. Like when I look at the retention for the first video, it's like the average watch time is like 8 minutes. So clearly a lot of people open it up and went, this is not for me at all. But anybody who made it past that had a pretty good chance to make it like all the way through the series, which is very flattering. So, and I guess the lesson there is, and I said this months ago, but, don't be afraid to, use the one-off sort of series and videos and subscriber milestones to try new things, because you never know if it's going to work. There were a lot of people, I think if you listen to your community too much, which I know sounds like a oxymoron, but we wouldn't have seen something like this, because a lot of people were like, I don't think it's going to be a fit at all. So that's kind of like my wrap-up lesson there for sure.
So to build off your little dub, I was thinking about it yesterday. I'm like, so Ryan and I and Michael A.L. Fox on YouTube, we do like a weekly series for a game. We play one game. Next week it's something new. I'm like, what if I did that just solo? Like 1 week it's Tony Hawk or whatever, and the next week. Have you ever done that?
That was kind of like what I wanted to do at the start of this year, but then Good Games kept like sucking up more of the channel space. Originally, like we were talking about, like when Exit the Gungeon came out, my dream was like, you play something new for a week, keep cycling. But no, I'm out of that now for sure. But I think it's an admirable goal for sure. Anything that keeps like some kind of fresh content injection like that, I think is really good.
Okay. So that's a good little small dub. What other small dubs are you sprinkling on the tomato pie?
Other small dubs on the tomato pie. It's been good sponsor stuff this week for sure. And we're getting pretty close to the end of that, which is nice. I don't really have I guess one small dub is the Chat Choice Awards stuff. So that's happening tonight.
So basically, what is that?
So for context, it's not really like, it's an award show, but it's not like the Oscars. It's not like best sports game, best blah, blah, blah. There are some awards like that, but it's more like almost like MTV Video Music Awards or Teen Choice Awards sort of thing. The awards are a little bit more like marketing, like what's the best trailer for this, which game are you most excited for, and it's not really like a very serious award show, which I think is a cool thing to be a part of. So yesterday I had like I don't know, like 4 hours of rehearsal for it.
Well, like, are you like hosting the whole thing? You have like 4 hours of dialogue?
No, you're on standby for most of it. So like they run through the because the thing is, like, I think that if you ran it in person, it wouldn't be that many moving parts. But because there's 13 people and then 2 co-hosts, they're running it like remotely from their own homes, right?
Okay.
So like trying to get everybody to the point where they're coming in and they know how to call into the show and stuff like that. The rehearsal was warranted, let's put it that way.
But it's like a production. It's like, hey, get ready, you're on in 5 type deal.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean there's a lot of moving parts in the back end for sure. But then also what's cool about it is that it's really like, and they've really focused on the messaging. It's like a celebration of the community, if that makes sense. So that we don't pick the awards like with a panel of judges. There's an extension that's going to be live on everybody's Twitch channel, and then the way it works is really cool. I don't want to reveal too much, even though I think it's totally fine to. But essentially, they're pooling all the votes across Twitch to see what wins. But then also they're keeping them segmented by everybody's channel that's co-hosting. And I think if you co-stream it as well, it'll put your community up there, as long as you've got the extension installed. So you can see like, oh, in this category, your community picked Cyberpunk, but then across Twitch, Star Wars Squadrons won. And these are like the top 5 communities that voted for each one. So you can be like, look at that. Like, oh, my community voted for Cyberpunk, but Bear's community voted for, Animal Crossing New Horizons or whatever. So it should be pretty cool. It's a lot of moving parts, but I'm excited to do it for sure. And I mean, at the end of the day, literally I'm on the main feed for like 6 or 7 minutes. So I think it should be easy enough.
Are you ad-libbing? Are you like, hello, my name is Ryan Northernlion? Like, are you reading?
There's a script that I like reworded to put a little bit more in my own voice, like because the copy was a little bit more energetic, I guess, than I normally am. But yeah, I mean, there's a little bit of, it's like light ad-libbing.
Okay.
It should be good.
So if what were your nerves going into Champions of Fire 1 and 2? If 100 is like you're shaking in your boots when you walk on the main stage, and 0 is like, another day at the office.
Champions of Fire, I was 0% nervous for like the interviews and stuff.
Okay.
But I was like 95% nervous for the games, which was a sobering realization, especially like the semifinals in Champions of Fire 2 when we were playing dancing lines. I was like, and you'd think that everyone was like, haha, it's memes, but people were backstage like getting psyched up and really like trying to get in the right like mindset because it's competitive people for sure.
Like punching the wall and stuff like that.
Yeah, not like to that level, mostly. But yeah, like so I'm not really nervous about it. It's more like it's technical stuff that is like I just hope it goes smoothly. But it's one of those things as well where I'm like, I think I go like 10th. So by the time I go, everybody's gonna have figured it out and it'll all be good. So it's pretty easy for me.
Do you have like
the only thing that's gonna be weird is like from a technical standpoint, not to get too into it, but like I have to mirror my camera from OBS onto the stream or onto Discord. So when they call me, they see this. So that's a little weird because I'll also be streaming at the same time. So basically, chat is just going to see one huge frame of me essentially as I look right now.
Well, bigger.
Yeah, but blown up on the Jumbotron. But
anyway. I really want to watch the award show and just, based on family stuff. Do you know roughly what time you're going to be on?
I think if you wanted to see only me, you would go like somewhere between 9:30 your time and 9:45 your time.
Okay, so 9:30, 9:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right, I'm going to set an alarm for that. That's cool, man. So that's exciting. Twitch has never done anything like this.
Yeah,
How did the process start? You just got like a random email or Miyazaki's like, hey, you want to do this?
Yeah, basically. Like I mean, I don't know how much of this is caused by this, but I think I mentioned on the show, like it used to be like when I had a partner manager at Twitch, I would talk to them and be like, I'd be like, pitch me, but I say no to everything.
Yeah.
So like, I want it both ways. Like I want to be pitched on everything, but then also things that are like even slightly out of my wheelhouse, I'll probably say no. So earlier this year, I was like, pitch me, and I want to do everything because I really think that the community always comes out for it. Like I want to have fun with it for sure as well. I want the opportunity, but I always the big benefit is that the Twitch really sees that the community goes hard
Berserk.
for yeah, exactly. So I think that it reflects well on both of us. So so I am that's basically the reason that I told my partner manager that, and I'm hoping that this leads to more opportunities for sure. I mean, don't get me wrong, this is a great opportunity, but I'm also hopeful that it leads to more opportunities too. Like I want to be one of the guys that's like you tap this person to do events, maybe not to co-host, but like if you need someone who can like show up on time and bring their community out in force, like I can do that reliably
and do what you say you're gonna do in the time frame you're gonna do it and deliver the goods, and there is some
in the contract on a reasonable time frame, and show up at rehearsal 5 minutes early instead of an hour late.
Yeah, I mean, but all that stuff, we've talked about before, just about like, and my take on life is that if you just do what is asked of you, you look like a legend. Like even if you just do average work, you look like a legend, because my take is a lot of people don't necessarily do that, whether that's cynical or not. And then if you do just a little bit more, then you're Pog Champ spam in the chat. It's just
exactly.
So that's exciting. And is this typically, do you think, is this something you would have done a year or two ago?
I'd say 50-50. I think there's a chance I would have, but there's a chance. I mean, honestly, I think like maybe I might even lean towards no. Like 2 years ago, because especially I was like not streaming with like a camera or anything. And this is like a cam focused opportunity for sure. So I might say no in the past, but I think the philosophy change is a good thing for sure. The downside, and this is what you wrestle with, right, is like I did have to cancel yesterday's stream because it literally was just a 100% overlap. Mm-hmm. And then like this afternoon, I'll be streaming the show. I don't know if I'm going to be able to stream in advance of the show. We'll see. I'd like to at least do a little bit. But so, you do take a hit on your normal, not even the numbers, but just being able to do that stuff is good for routine, obviously. But it's worth it. Like, I mean, obviously, A, I'm being compensated, but B, I think it's going to be, what's more valuable, like a once in a lifetime or once a year sort of unique thing, or just doing another Thursday stream where you do Trackmania or something.
Yeah.
Still fun, but
no, something, did you, when you canceled the show, which is extremely like out of the ordinary for you, everyone knew the reason. What was the response to that? Do you feel like the majority of people understood?
Yeah, I think people got it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of those things where, in the back channel, I was like, can we move the rehearsal? And they were like, we really can't, because there's like 20 people involved. It wasn't just like me calling another person. There's like 5 tech staff in the Discord that are pulling people in and out and like muting and unmuting and stuff like that. So, there's really nothing that could have been done about it. What would have been nice is if I could have, put up the stream earlier or something like that. But it's a really busy time.
Yeah.
Quite frankly, as soon as something gets moved, like normally there's space to move things to, this week there is not space to move things to. It's just like it's locked, and if something goes wrong, then it's gone. But
I think that's cool is that people had a reason why, right? It's not like you're playing backgammon, with Kate. Not there's anything playing wrong with backgammon and Kate off stream, but like people are like, hey, I can't go live, here's why, and it gives people something to be excited about, and for me, like, I'm gonna set an alarm. I want to watch the whole show, but I'm at least gonna set the alarm and see how you do, because I think it's like this morning I woke up and I don't know if I read the back channel, but I knew you guys were talking. I'm like, I'm excited for you because it's like you're on the Oscars stage, for the Twitch Oscars or whatever you want to call it. So it's
cool that Bear's on it too. So there's like a double community aspect there for sure.
You guys were both through the whole process, the whole thing?
No, there was like a morning rehearsal and an evening or an afternoon rehearsal. So he was morning and I was afternoon.
Oh, so okay. So they didn't do a dry run in the show then. It was like probably segmented.
Yeah.
Okay, very cool. Yeah, and that's like, I mean, you talk about like canceling or moving stuff. I don't want to. Well, do you have any more little dubs you want to sprinkle? That's a pretty big dub though to be on.
Yeah,
featured on
nice.
the Twitch Choice. What is Twitch Chat Awards?
Yeah, Chat's Choice Awards. TM registered trademark copyright.
I think it's what they're doing. Just hearing about like the involvement and the analytics and the community engagement. I think it's smart. I think that this is probably something they're going to look at as like a test. And then I could see, just based on the tech you described, applying it to, hey, all of a sudden Ubisoft comes around and wants to do something. You know what I mean? Like, I think, not to say that that's the reason why it's done. I think it's, it'll be really cool to watch and see how the integration is. Obviously, more. That's a pretty big dub, man.
Yeah, it's cool. And I mean, I don't know, like I'm eager to see what Twitch is doing from their perspective. I think it's an opportunity to like they're going to promote September and other stuff like that. So I was wondering, I was like, where's the, like, why is Twitch doing it? Obviously the messaging is that it's fun to be a part of, but then simultaneously I'm like, where do they get the budget for it?
Well,
and it seems like maybe they got some products to promote.
I think that, and then probably also because TwitchCon is normally like 30 days from now, 30-ish. Now there's no TwitchCon, so you have that whole budget that maybe, because I could see like if this were a regular year, they have this, except you're really there. This seems like something they've done in the past. I don't know about, like, they seem like they've done different organized events, whether it's roasts and things like that I've seen during TwitchCon.
That's true.
But maybe next year it's like this with the integration, except Ryan Gary's walking on stage with a penguin suit, got the long tails. That's cool, man. I'm gonna piggyback a little bit off the W. It's a little bit different, but you talk about like giving something up, right? So you yeeted an entire stream to do it, and I wrestled a little bit, but long story short, there's really the biggest Tarkov streamer. His name's Pestily. He organized this Tarkov tournament, and when he started talking, we talked a little bit a couple months ago about a tournament, but when he started to organize it, I reached out and said, hey, look, if you need someone in the booth, or I'd love to get involved. And I think in the past I've shied away from doing that kind of stuff. Like if there's something going on, I don't say, hey, let me be a part of it. I'm like, hey, like I'm interested. If something comes up, cool. And so, initially I worked something with him where like, I wasn't necessarily going to cast with them, but was going to line something up, and he kind of about a week or two ago. He's like, hey, do you want to just cast the thing with me? And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, when is it? And he's like, on a Sunday. I'm like, what time? He's like, 3 p.m. I'm like, okay. So you're in a position, it's a little bit different, but for me, I don't work on the weekends, and it's like a lot of, it's a big family time. But at the same time, it's like, it's a Tarkov tournament done by Pastilli, who's like not only a great broadcaster, but I mean, this is like, he's really checked every box in terms of organizing this tournament. And I'm like, you kind of weigh it out. It's like last week, after doing 2 weekends of sponsor stuff, I'm like, I'm done doing weekends. And then this kind of pops up and you're like, well, I think it'll be 1, fun. 2, I think it's gonna be a really cool event, and 3, I think it'll get people excited. It's gonna be completely on his channel, but also a little bit of, for me, I've never done anything like this. Like casted an entire tournament, but you talk about that balance of like, all right, if you're gonna give something up, you kind of like think, all right, it's got to be a really unique opportunity. So I went through that, and I went back and forth a little bit because, after streaming on the weekend, I'm like, I really. We've talked about like that time is important, but I think for me, it's a little bit different than canceling a show, but on Friday and stuff, I'm going to skirt out a little bit early to kind of recompensate. But that's something I'm excited about, and something like I feel a little bit uncomfortable about, because it's doing something new. I'm not like nervous, but I feel this way on YouTube and stuff. When things get like too comfortable, then you're not really changing or bringing anything new to the table. So that's something I'm really excited about. And I don't know if I remember seeing a reel of you with doing some Rocket League stuff. Have you ever casted a tournament before?
Yeah. Well, I would first say, like, I agree with you. If something feels uncomfortable because it's like too much work, or it's a day you don't normally do it, sometimes I think that can be a sign that it's worth trying out, and if it goes well, awesome. And if it goes okay, good. And if it goes badly, who cares? It's one day.
Yeah.
You learn a lesson. You're like, okay, maybe we'll approach that differently in the future. So I think people are a little too, and not even like other creators, but I think sometimes audiences are like too protective of like the kind of content that the creator makes. And they're like, oh, don't do this. It's like off brand. But if it's like, you lose 1 out of 5 streams a week to try something new now and then, I think it's positive. But anyway, like that I did, and it's a good example of something that didn't work out but was fun to do regardless. Bear and I, basically, we didn't just like, it's gonna make me seem like a little too like Nostradamus-y, but like we were pushing hard against the organizations to be like, let's get some esports stuff done for Rocket League. This is when it came out, before it had the explosion. It was popular, but nobody knew like it was gonna last for this long, right? So Bear and I were like really we're like, we want to spearhead this and like be the guys who are there at like the ground floor of commentary and stuff like that. So we worked with ESL for a bit for sure. But it didn't work out for, a couple of reasons. One is it took a long time on the weekend. I think it was on Saturdays. So even though people really liked it, it took a long time, and the compensation for us wasn't there. And it was one of those things where it was going to be, you put in the effort at the start and it pays dividends later for sure. But we were kind of like, I don't know, we're already not to be braggadocious, but it's kind of like we're already there.
Yeah.
So to like put in the work for the equity later, it seemed like kind of not a deal that made sense for us. And then the other thing, I wouldn't besmirch the organizations that we worked with, but Bear and I were both pushing like, we gotta, because some of the competitors weren't taking the tournaments that seriously, which was leading to production problems on our end. But then like the reason they weren't taking it seriously is because the prize pool for like those first few tournaments was like $25 or $50, right? Split 3 ways if you got first place.
But not to disparage $25, $50, but like, if I had a turn, I would pony up. I'm like bored. I mean, and if I'm a high level just Rocket League player, I'm like, I'm not gonna get excited for that. But anyway, sorry, go ahead.
That was I would say that it was a situation where the ambition that Bear and I had was like out of sync with where the scene was at that point. Probably, and it still chafes a little bit because like we were right. Yeah. We were like, if we were like, this thing's gonna grow, and it worked out for, I guess, everybody involved. But we were like, if we put some more resources into this, like it's gonna, the audience is there. I think we had like 10,000 viewers for the first tournament or something like that. Probably like 2 or 3 weeks after the game came out, and maybe like 2 months after the game came out. But it's been a while. But I was like, we just couldn't find like the combination of like the culture fit and then also equitable compensation, because we were definitely like, if the players make $25 for winning, we're probably not going to be even making a great wage for like the 6 hours of casting time that we're going to be there for.
But. So that's what I want to ask you about. Like, what did you physically do? So you physically, because I don't know, I just remember seeing a reel and like you guys were excited about it. I didn't know you actually, like, did you do one event or a couple events? What did you physically do for casting?
Yeah, we did 2 or 3 for sure. So the way that it worked is like there was like the organizer in the back channel did everything essentially for tournament setup. So they're like, this team plays this team at this time, get in the lobby, here's the lobby code. Then Bear and I would join as spectators, and then we would just, over Skype, because it was ancient history, right? We would commentate over top of it and stream it to like our feed. Okay. So it was pretty, like a pretty standard kind of like remote commentary setup.
Okay. And then, so your preparation for that, were you just kind of like, did you know anything about the teams? Did you just kind of like wing it every week, or?
Yeah, we kind of like knew the storylines you want to create, like, oh, this guy is his team is the number one team. They've never lost a game so far. But then, there's this 14-year-old kid from Lithuania who's really, he's on the ascendancy right now. So who knows? I mean, really, like, the homework is having watched sports in the past and just realizing that it's, you're trying to build a storyline throughout the game.
Did you, I mean, not to go super back to ancient history, did you enjoy the act of casting, like of commentating a live esports event or game tournament?
Yeah, I think it's fun, honestly. And I the same thing, like, I think you're going to do great on the Tarkov stream, because I think you understand that, you're not really there. I mean, it depends on whether you're going to be the color guy or the play-by-play guy. I don't even know what the casting's going to look like for it, but you understand like what you have to do in order to build the moment and like what your role is as a commentator. So I mean, I thought it was fun to do for sure. It was just like putting it over top of all the other work doing every single week, and then not really seeing the reward on the back channel as well.
And it's not like it's like a 2 or 3 hour tournament. I mean, you're talking like the majority of your Saturdays is working, and imagine like it's not, hey, we can take an hour break in the middle of the tournament. Like, you're going every game, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
it was a long time ago.
Yeah, no, and that's like, I'm doing like a little bit of prep for the tournament, and by that means, so like the format of the tournament, which there's been a handful of Tarkov tournaments, and like Code Red did one, and there, to me, and I'm like, a little bit more than a casual Tarkov player, like, I understand, but the formats were really, really confusing. And so this one I really like because it's simple. It's like literally, how many player kills do you get? And then the other thing is that it's 100 people playing. So one of the things which is cool to kind of work with the tournament in Pastilia, I'm like, hey, look, if we're going to be in the booth or whatever casting this, and there's 100 players, like, I know a decent amount of like Tarkov streamers, but there's a lot of people that I've never heard of. So one of the things that I proposed, and it was cool about it, is we put together this like really quick 5 questionnaire where it's like, hey, fill out these out. So when, there's someone that no offense, I don't know or I haven't heard of, like, we can refer to that and be like, oh, this person's from here, there's their favorite gun, so just to like, I'm just excited to, number one, see how it goes, but two, my whole thing is when I approach them, like, how can I bring value to this, right? Like, how can I, like, I've seen other tournaments, I'm like, man, like, I'm gonna be honest, like, I can do better than this, from what, I'm not going to say at what tournaments or anything, but I'm like, and then how can you make this more engaging and make it a good event for the community? So I'm really excited about it. And, but like you said, I kind of look at it like that. If it goes great, awesome. If it goes okay, then you're like, all right, it's something fun to do. And we tried it out, and maybe the community gets excited about it, and, kind of take it from there. So, but to pivot to some small W's, and I know you've kind of, and I'm banking. Ryan and I are a little bit competitive, like friendly competitive. And so I know you've been taking some time off, and now I'm like, all right, and he's going to take a little even more time off. I've been back in the TikTok game. Like I'm
Oh yeah.
I've been like posting, I'm like taking L's, and then I think Tuesday, Monday, or end of last week, it was like I had 2 back-to-back talks with the K in them, like multi-thousand views. And so like it's just exciting, man. Like I felt like I when you do that, it kind of like perpetuates stuff, right? So now I'm like thinking, all right, hey, now I'm gonna start doing some Twitter video, and so I've just really been way more active and really caring less about the video stuff. And what I mean by that is like started on TikTok, and then I'm like, okay, what can I bring to Twitter? So after every show, I've been posting just a really quick Twitter clip, and then on Instagram, it's like really like I have like family and like real life friends that follow me there.
Yeah.
So I don't ever really post gaming stuff, but I'm like, well, what am I there for? Like I'm not gonna post like, and I feel like we talked about it's like pictures of me sipping a cup of coffee. So I've just been posting there, and it's been cool to see, just even like you'll see names pop up in the Instagram comments that you would see in like Twitch chat. I'm like, oh, that's cool. There's people there that are crossed over. So I don't know. I've just like it for me, because I feel like we both took a break from TikTok, and for me, it kind of like everything took a little bit of like a distribution break, but to just have like a little bit of a carrot getting it going again, it's like another spark. So it's been a nice little W on that side of things.
Yeah, I mean, you just inspired me to open the app for the first time in like 2 months. And I'm
you're on your way out right now.
Just like, I don't know if I say like, I mean, I'm on my way out as far as having the time to post that stuff.
Yeah.
But like for me, like the platform was good, but then, obviously in current events terms, it looked like there was like a weekend where it was absolutely just going to get shut down. So I was like, maybe there's a better place for me to put my time for now.
Yeah.
But if the partnership monetization stuff gets off the ground, who knows? I mean, I think that the ad rates on TikTok will probably be insanely low because the user base is so young and people watch 4 seconds of every video.
Mm-hmm.
There's a couple of talks with like 1 million views or like more than 1 million views. You never know. It could be like some kind of residual value in that for sure. But for now, I'm like, yeah, I can't really justify even like the 10 or 20 minutes a day to get one up right now, unfortunately.
So the competitive nature is like, so I had a really, like I'd say this all tongue in cheek, I'd say probably like 3% serious. So like I started on TikTok early, then Ryan joined, and like it was kind of like a catch up, and then Ryan, like he's probably like right here. And now when he's not posting, I'm like, all right, now's my chance to get back ahead. But like part of it is, I'm joking around, but it's like, all right, and it gives you like a little bit of a challenge to like, all right,
yeah,
can you push this and kind of get it from there? So
no, I agree.
So I've just like, between that and Instagram and these videos, just it's kind of like exciting, right? And then, I streamed on Tuesday, and I'm like, I didn't want to do a normal show. Sometimes you don't feel like doing a normal show. Do you ever feel like that or no?
Yeah.
And so I'm like, let's just do something different. And so literally 10 minutes before the stream, I'm like in there talking to chat. And I'm like, all right, what do you guys want to see? And just saw everything. I'm like, all right, and then I referred back to like your pentathlon, right? So Ryan did this really cool event where he played 5 roguelikes, try to beat them all in one session, and people were really excited about it. I'm like, all right, let me just make a random challenge. And so I just like picked 5 things that I could do, but it was just like, it's just changing something up, and it was really exciting. I found myself going from like, because I'm sure there's times, and I feel like when people listen to this podcast, and I think we do a pretty good job of talking about both sides of it, but there's times when you're about to go live, and it's not always like you're 120% pogged out of your gourd. For me, I'm like a low end is probably like 80, 85, which is rare. But like I went from like 80, 85 to like instantly really excited because it's not like the same thing over and over again, which I think is the greatest catch-22, because I think to do well, you kind of got to do the same thing over and over again.
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying.
But do you ever get to that? Do you ever get to like 80, 85 when you're about to hit the go live button, or where are you at?
No, usually it's more like if I ever hit like a low, it's not like when I'm about to hit the button. It's like an hour before, where I was like, oh, it's been like a crap morning. I don't really want to stream. Then when it gets closer to the stream, I stream, and it almost always like elevates my mood.
Yeah.
There are exceptions. But it almost always elevates my mood for sure. So I think, I honestly think that there's like it's a statement that's always true. But I think that there's two kinds of people. You know, I think there's people that have to like put on a facade to stream, and they dread it and they hate it. And then there's people who I think kind of feed off the energy of being live. And you know, I'm not 100% the latter, but I'm much more on the latter than I am on the former. Like for me, anytime I've been like, and it happens insanely rarely, anytime I've been like, I don't think I would put on a good show today because I don't feel good, and then I cancel the show, I always feel worse. And whenever I think about the days where I'm like, oh, I didn't feel great, and then I streamed, doing the stream, even if the stream was merely perfunctory or like merely okay, I'm always like, well, at least I like did something. At least I did the stream. People were like, they enjoyed the stream, and I didn't slip behind doubly. Like I didn't lose twice by being in a bad mood and also like delaying stuff that I have to do in the first place.
Yeah, I think you bring up a good point where, like, there's been times where like you're like, okay, hey, like you may not be 100% ready to stream, but I've found like sometimes it feels like stealing a little bit, right? Because I can't think of a time when I've been like a little bit like not on the excited time, and then once you're live, it's like if it's good, like it's like an elevation, and I don't know if that's like a nod to the hat that like saying like you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, but it's I've never been in a situation where I went live and like you don't feel good, you know? It's like I think it's kind of like what you said. It's like you're doing something, you're creating something, you're at least making someone else smile or laugh, and then I think just it kind of plays off of that. But I don't know, and I think I'm with you with that, because it takes like a lot of work and a lot of consistency to, you know, be able to put on a broadcast for a long time. But I think if you're not, and sometimes I worry about if people listen to this like, oh yeah, that's what I want to do, and then they try it and they don't like it and they keep doing it. I'm like, you know, pretty early, like it's not 99.9% of the time. It's like, maybe that's a little much, maybe 95% of the time it's like really easy and fun to do. But I think you brought up a point about just like when you go live, it kind of just elevates things.
Yeah.
For the most part. But speaking of elevating things, I do want to, because we did a bunch of sponsor stuff. One of the things I had to do for the first time was one of the deals asked me to give like a specific window of time analytics on Twitch.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, I don't know how to do that. But so I figured it out, but it was really fascinating. It's like minute by minute, it showed like, I don't know, can we talk about this with Twitch TOS? But it showed like the numbers of.
Oh, I think, yeah, I don't think this is.
I was fascinated by that. Like, do you ever look at that, or what have you had to do the same thing?
Yeah, only when I have the same thing do I look at it, for sure. And honestly, like, I don't know. I understand why they need it, but it's like I hate doing it. I would rather send out like 7 more sponsored tweets than go into the analytics and snip it, and you know. But I of course I understand why they want the data. But like I do think probably every creator would benefit from looking at their analytics more, myself included, because you can really see, like, you get a vibe for how things are going, obviously, even without looking at any analytics. But when you actually like dig down into the data, you don't have to base your entire content strategy around what the numbers reflect, but like it can give you some good intel on what's like DOA for sure. Or what, like on YouTube especially, like the Twitch analytics are good, but YouTube definitely does like more of a deep dive. So sometimes like one thing that I'll say is like, or one I'll see, I should say, is that like you can have 2 videos with 30,000 views or something like that. And if you just look at like the broad picture, it looks like they both were about the same performance, right? But sometimes if you dig it deeper into the analytics that they provide, you'll be like, this one had 30,000 views and I gained -4 subscribers. Which I mean is just something that happens from time to time. It's at a certain level, I think it's less that you said something that people were like, I'm out, and more just like they see the video and they're like, I don't want to watch this stuff anymore, and I'm out. But then you'll see like the other 30,000 video and you're like, oh, I gained 300 subscribers from people that clicked on this video. So you're like, what would I structure towards in the future? You know, would I go more for the 30,000 point stuff or 30,000 view stuff that's kind of withering on the vine, or you know, the 30,000 view stuff that 1% of the people that watch it are like, I'm going to watch more of this guy's stuff. And I think over time it adds up. So I don't really look at it on Twitch because I mean, on Twitch, there's so many different factors that go into how many people watching you. You know what I mean? Like, did the game just come out? Was there a trailer for the sequel of the game that just came out? Was it on Tuesday more people work from home or something like that? And there's so much. Did you get a host from anybody that could make the rest of your numbers look like they don't even make sense? But I still think looking at the analytics can be valuable for sure.
Did you? I mean, it sounded like you did that recently. Did you do that for Fall Guys? It sounds like you.
I can do it. Like, honestly, for Fall Guys right now, I can do it. What was funny for me was like looking at the Doki Doki videos and seeing that despite it being a subscriber milestone, like the first Doki Doki video actually created a lot of subscribers as well.
Really?
Like the first Doki Doki video, 131 people subscribed after watching, which is like, it's high for me for sure. And then like, let me see for Fall Guys. So the first Doki Doki video had 83,000 views.
So let me ask this. Do you think it's because, I have a theory, but do you think it's because there's a large Doki Doki fan base, or do you think it's another factor?
I honestly, I don't know. I would love to know what you think. Sure.
My thought is that there was so much hype around it. People were talking about it so much. And this is just my little, my mind works, that people were talking about it so much in your Twitch chat. People that may have not watched your YouTube and just watch you on Twitch, or like, you can't miss this moment. Like, I think to me, that's what, I mean, because the game's old, right? It's not. Yeah.
Well, like the first Fall Guys video has 208,000 views. This is the Northernlion tries, and it got 280 subscribers. And then the first of the series got 147,000 views and got about 114 subscribers. So it's about, I guess, like a 1% rate on that, which is like is honestly pretty good. But then if you look at like, I don't know, let me just pull like a random one here and see if it has 1%. Like, okay, yesterday, well, let's go like a few days back. So this is like Trackmania track of the day from Monday, I think.
Mm-hmm.
It has 26,000 views, 2 subscribers.
From Trackmania, which is a newer game. Like, you're talking month, 90 days new, right?
Yeah. I mean, it I guess it's probably close to 3 months old now. Okay. But it's not to say you should structure all of your content around stuff that is like moving the subscriber metric, but it changes things a lot. Even not just the raw numbers, but the rate as well.
Huh. And like today, I think there's, we talk about instead of streaming for 12 hours, like, the thing we always say, instead of stream for 12 hours, maybe you stream for 8 and then you do other stuff. I feel like this is important. Like, this is, I mean, I wouldn't call it 100% important, but at least it allows you to like correct your North Star a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, if you had the choice between making like a video that gets 10,000 views and, I mean, it sounds ungrateful, but like if you have the choice between something that gets 10,000 views that's only watched by people that already watch you, or stuff that gets 10,000 views but 4,000 people that have never heard of you get to see it as well, you'd probably take the second pretty frequently. The first one's a lot easier to make and a lot more guaranteed, but the second one, it kind of moves things a little bit more for you.
Yeah, I mean, without alienating your audience and just saying that, it's not important. But like, so like before we went live, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do something a little bit different. So I recorded. Like, you talk about the ease of recording something, right? So like for you, Isaac, Fall Guy, it's probably just like, you just line up the donuts and you glaze them. That's it. You're not like making the batter. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to do a first look at Madden. And it's like, okay. And this, I just want to explain this to someone listening, because it's not just, you don't just record. And this all plays in a time. I'm like, okay, I'm going to knock out 2 Madden look ats. And so you log in and it's like, oh, you need your EA account. Your EA account's blocked. So you got to figure out how to do that. Then it texts you a code, like a text code. And then you sign in to Madden. You want to check out the yard, and before you check out the yard, you got to do 3 like first grade tutorials, and like by that time it's like, all right, it's check the wire time. So like it's like, it's not just, the simple answer is just make different videos. It's like, you gotta, for me, and I know the same for you, like every minute counts. So like I get a little antsy when I'm sitting there like, oh, throw the ball to gain 5 yards and then leave the game and come into another game. I'm like, like that stuff adds up. But at the same time, I next week I can't tell you how that video is going to do. It could pog off and it could not, but I just know I can tell you that Spelunky episode 170 is not going to pog off like Madden may be able to, you know?
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree.
But yeah, so I mean, everything else has been good. Do you have any L's or large or small of the week?
It's just, I mean, really the L is like not being able to be in the routine because of the sponsored stuff. But that's like I got other, it's not L related stuff, so it's kind of like skirting the question.
Yeah.
But there's like watch parties got rolled out worldwide. That's pretty sick. That's a dub in training.
I saw your tweet. So Ryan said, so I saw your tweet. I'll just paraphrase it. But basically, when you're on paternity, it's probably a lot easier to like sit back and kick back and watch a movie for a watch party instead of playing a game, which I think is
like, I got to give credit to Kate because I was like, you know, watch parties are cool. I hope I can maybe do some before I, you know, take paternity.
Yeah.
To paternity leave, I guess. And that's, take paternity is something completely different. But she was like, you could, you know, probably it would be easier to watch something while taking care of the baby than obviously if you're playing a game, like both of your hands are going to be occupied with the controller or the keyboard or whatever. When you're doing a watch party, you can have your hands, you can even pause it and walk away for a little bit to soothe the baby and stuff like that. I wouldn't suggest that it's going to really accelerate the speed at which content comes back, but certainly an easier like transition maybe than being like, oh, we're going to play like, you know,
Warzone with the
baby. Exactly. And then like the baby starts kind of, you're like, okay. But yeah, I mean the L with Prime is that you need to be a Prime subscriber to watch it. But I get when people complain about it, but I'm also like, what do you want them to do? Like you can't, like, they sell a service, you have to have access to the service to watch it, and you know it's not like they're just gonna be like, sure, watch. I'm trying. There's so much like new stuff that's on Amazon Prime that cost Amazon a ton of money to make. They're not going to be like, yeah, just take it for free. I know that the caveat is that you could get it for free, obviously, but you know, as the business, you're not going to be like, I know you could break in and steal my inventory, so we're just going to leave it outside instead to save on the broken windows, right? So I think like, obviously, I'm aware of the fact that there will probably be a little backlash. I don't know if it's 50% of the audience. I don't know if it's 25. I don't know if it's 75. But when we do watch parties, people are going to be like, I can't watch, and that sucks. So my strategy for that is just like this. I might be a hypocrite here from time to time, but only do it as an addendum to other stuff. Don't do it as like, okay, now Wednesdays are just watch party Wednesdays or something. And then a huge chunk of the audience is like, I can't even interface.
So like, you know, but you got to think on your end, like even if the baby's sleeping and you're watching, you know, whatever, The Godfather or something, you can let the thing run. People are still going to be entertained and come back you know, you're probably not going to pause the movie so everyone's sitting there waiting for what's going to happen to Fredo. You know, you know, maybe you don't leave when, you know, but my thing when you talk about, even you just talking about watch parties, I'm like, it's kind of like criminal. Like you get to use a multi-million-dollar show or movie and just get to like use it and like, hey.
It's insane. It's actually, and I feel like I've been talking about this over the course of like videos I've recorded today and stuff like that. But I'm like, I feel like people are sleeping on it a little bit. And it's one of those things where I'm like, people always only see the problem with a new feature, and the problems are easy to find. I don't want to suggest like the guy from the Fire Festival, like we're not a problem focused organization, we're a solution focused organization. But I feel like if you told people in like 2007, like, oh, you know, you should like film yourself playing the video game that you're playing, people will watch it. You would be like, what are you talking about? Nobody watches that. But what's in my head, there's a very small difference between watching somebody play a game and like watching somebody watch a show and comment on it or something like that. So I actually, and this is just my hunch, I don't have data or anything, but I feel like it's an incredibly unexploited niche right now that has the potential. Like I only see upward movement on it. The fact that it's I just in general, people are like, oh, I think it's a neat idea that's kind of gonna like blow over. I like very much disagree. I think this could be the kind of thing where there will be people, if you're funny enough and you tap into like the culture enough, there will be people who are like watch party main streamers that crush it, and they're gonna get a ton of flack from other streamers, I think, at first. I really do see I see it having an effect on the industry, not like swallowing up this part of Twitch. But yeah. I see it having an effect for sure.
I see what you just described is like anything, right? Like when it first comes out, whether it's Instagram stories, TikTok, people are like, oh, why are you doing that? That's whatever. But I mean, you're kind of, I have experience with, we did one full season Survivor, and I'm like, that went really well. Like, and I'm trying to think, well, why haven't we done it again? And I'm like, it was a lot to commit to, right? It was like an additional day. But I think, and we watched a couple episodes every time. I'm like, but there's movies, there's shows that maybe you can just sprinkle in. And the flip side is why wouldn't you do that to try it? Especially because that was a while ago. You know what I mean? Wait, so when you say it's rolled out to everyone,
creators worldwide who have Prime.
Okay.
And then viewers who have Prime in their region, the only caveat, and it's probably a pretty big one, is it has to be content that's available in that region on Prime. So the obvious fit is stuff that Prime has everywhere. So Prime originals are like a no-brainer. Because I'm sure there's going to be situations, you don't have to deal with that much because you live in the country that everybody conforms to in order to make it as convenient as possible. But in other countries, they'll be like, in Amazon Prime in like the US will get a movie, but like, oh, they can't play it in Canada because but Crave bought the rights, when it came out or something like that. And I don't even, that's Canada, US, which probably has a huge overlap. And then you get into Belarus, I have no idea what's going on over there with that kind of stuff. So there is like negative stuff there for sure. And the worst thing I would do is like start a stream and be like, oh, it's only available on Prime in Canada. That's going to be like... Talk about minimizing your ability to put on a show for your audience, but I think it's going to be I think it's going to be cool, and I genuinely do think people are sleeping on it, and I hope they continue to, because for me, I'm like,
free real estate,
exactly, and I'm like, you really had to do it like a month before paternity leave, right? And Nintendo, you really had to release a Super Mario Battle Royale 2 days after the birth of my daughter.
It's on the list of things to talk about. I do want to wrap up with the watch parties. Like I'm excited. It's weird, and I'm glad we do this because like you almost forget that existed, right? But for you, like I think people see you, or how I would see you, it's like Mystery Science Theater. Like, but you can watch whatever. Like you can watch Transformers. But what I was going to say is that for me, and this is, I'll apologize to, my side of the audience watching, is like, I'm like, okay, if I'm going to watch something on Prime, I'm going to check North America, Canada, Europe, and UK. And I'm like, I know that's like the bulk in it. We could maybe do some other checklists to like clear a movie, because I think that gives some insight. You bringing that up, I'm like, it would impact the movie I select if I could see, hey, this hits 80% of your audience as opposed to like 40%.
Yeah,
it's that's a no-brainer. I know UK is in Europe, but I know it's like UK could have some rights and another country can't. What were you gonna say? Sorry.
I mean, for me, like I see it as Mystery Science Theater 3000 for sure. Like I got nothing against going live and just watching a whole season of a show, but I feel like my vibe for content is like I want to be the guy, so I don't want to watch it and be like, ha ha ha, good joke. I want to be hitting them. So I want to find like all those new John Cusack movies from like 2014 onwards, where he won't even be in a scene with anybody else. They just film all his stuff on a soundstage and then insert it later into the movie. Like that's what I'm looking for. But then like on top of that, and this will sound cynical, but I think it's like a good service that could provide value. I wonder if you saw it. Because my thinking is, what if, you go live, your watch party is Prime viewers only, but people are like, oh, I really want to see this. They might get Prime in order to watch it with you. And then if they have Prime, who are they going to use their Prime subscription on?
This guy's playing 18D chess when everyone else is, they don't even have the checkers in their hand yet.
I said it sounded cynical, but it's like, I would never do the push that's like, hey, it's worth buying Amazon Prime just to watch this with me, because I think that's insanity. Whether you feel that way or not, I'm not going to stop you. But if you're like, oh, he's watching Midsummer, and I love Midsummer, so I want to see this, you're like, well, you just got Prime. I know who you're going to use it on.
Live chat and Ryan, just for context, because I don't know it's automatically billed. How much is Prime a year? Amazon Prime. Like 100?
Kate, how much is Amazon Prime per year?
It's $7.99 a month.
She said it's about $8 Canadian a month.
For Amazon Prime?
For Amazon Prime.
I mean, I'm not trying to pitch Amazon Prime, but if you buy one thing off Amazon a month, that covers your shipping. And then you get a free Twitch Prime subscription. And then you get free video library, audio library. I mean, you get a free ebook per month.
It's a really good value for me when you pay the money and then you also give me the subscription every month. It's an insanely good value if you buy it and then also give me some of the money from it. Like that's one of the best deals I could possibly imagine.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna poke around after this. I'll report back. I'll let you know. But so you think like you would go a movie route before you would go a series route, which.
Yeah, because I mean, if you're watching something to like make fun of it, I think a series is kind of, it's not weird. I think it's almost like, I would look at it more like an Isaac sort of thing, as weird as that sounds. Like I don't want to watch a linear story-based series all the way through necessarily, although I might be persuaded. I would rather watch something like Unsolved Mysteries, where like every episode is like its own thing. I would feel weird because it's about people who get murdered and stuff, but they
theoretically,
they do have like 20 seasons. They've got 20 seasons there.
But
so
how can you say that they're it's unsolved? Maybe they went on Mathis's podcast and got sent.
Exactly. You never know. They could just be hanging out at Skinwalker Ranch. I haven't seen the episodes of the podcast. I don't know what happens there. Probably should look into it before I say it, but.
Well, that's exciting. I mean, that's kind of one of the things where you're in the lab, or I'm like, try something new, and you got to do it in the next 7 days now because we spent so much time talking about it.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out when, because like right now I'm like, I can't do it, but then I know when Friday's over, I'll be like, yeah, I could probably do it. Once all the sponsor stuff is through the pipeline, I'm like, I'm trying to think, because like, I don't want to compromise like a Monday, Wednesday, Thursday thing, but maybe. Normally on Tuesdays post Unity, I don't stream unless there's a good reason. Maybe I could be like, you know what? We'll watch like a crappy 2009 Dennis Quaid movie or something like that and see if it works.
Is Dennis Quaid the one in National Lampoon, or is Dennis Quaid the one in the baseball movies?
He's the one in the baseball movies. Randy Quaid is the one in National Lampoon.
Dennis Quaid is in. I just watched it twice. The movie with the girl with red hair, that has twins and they switch. They're like, one's in the UK, one's in the US. They meet at summer camp. He's the dad.
The Parent Trap.
Parent Trap with Lindsay Lohan. He's the dad. And
it's like they switch.
And then the new fiance of Quaid in that movie looks identical to the girl from Mad Men. Like, I'm like, is that the girl from Mad Men? And my wife's like, no, this movie's like 10, 15 years ago. I'm like, are you sure? Have you ever seen them?
10 or 15. It's more than 10 or 15 years ago too. But
so all right. So we got some homework then. So Ryan is confirmed. Late hot take. Clip this. Put it on the NL subreddit. There's gonna be a NL watch party next week.
Yes, that's my goal at least.
That's good. I think we just birthed a new segment here. How about we birth a new segment called In the Lab, meaning you have to commit to doing one thing out of the box. All right, can we make this a segment?
Yeah, I mean, until we run out of things, I'm down with it.
Oh,
we did premieres that one time. That was cool. We did, and now we can do some watch party stuff.
Okay. You know what? I'm gonna do the same thing. We'll get in the lab. We'll compare results. I will say, doing the Survivor thing was cool because it was like I'm not like, and that was until we talked about this. I'm like, I don't want to watch a movie. Like, what am I gonna do? Sit there and watch the movie? But like Survivor's like you add insight, but I don't know. I think movies could be interesting too. Anyways, as we wrap things up here, I like In the Lab. We're gonna take a couple questions live from Twitch Arena, and as we wrap up, thanking you guys for tuning in. Thanks for being here live. First one is from, this is an interesting one, from Gabby Lantis. This was last week. Says, how do you balance giving, and this is probably, could be its own podcast about the relationship-icity, but it says, how do you balance giving attention to new people in your community versus usernames you see show up a lot in chat or YouTube comments? Does that affect you at all?
Not at all. But I feel like I give a low amount of attention to the community while streaming in general. So it's like I again, it sounds braggadocious, but I don't mean it like this. I don't have the insight from going through that period where you're growing from like none to low viewers.
Yeah.
Where the community has always kind of been there for me. So it's not really a fair question for me. Well, I saw it in chat, but I do think I kind of ignore people equally in my chat.
Let me alter the question though. What about people that you've seen from the community in day one that are still there? Do you know any of those names? I mean, you don't have to call them out, but
yeah, absolutely. It's very flattering. And it's also wild. I've been doing this like so long that sometimes I'll see people leave a comment that's like, hey, I haven't been around for a while, but I'm like, it's been 4 years of college and I'm back. And I'm like, I remember your name.
So that doesn't affect you at all? Like, you don't give that person a little bit more leeway, like someone that's been in the community for 8 years, or no?
I would give them a little more leeway for moderation stuff.
Okay.
But not that much.
Okay.
Here's the thing. Like on the extreme, if a username I've never seen before said something that was horrible, I would just ban them. If someone that I recognize has been around for a while, and we've had this happen before, but if someone that's been around for a while says something like that, I might be like, hey, don't say that. And then if they do it again, we'll be like, goodbye.
So you give there's a little bit of elasticity you'll give them.
Yeah, if you've been around for years, you could have one complete out of character meltdown, and then that's it. You've used your token.
On my end, I really, for whatever reason, and whether you have this or not or you don't care, but for me, like, I feel like I can remember things socially and interactions. So like, I'll get a text from someone on the text platform and I'll recognize the person's name from somewhere else, and I can start to even tie some of their Twitch name. So I'm like, for me, it's like recollection. If I see that, for me, I don't treat the person any different, but I'm like, man, that's cool that this person is involved in the community. You know what I mean? Like, when you can start to recognize that. And for me, on my end, I kind of, we talked about giving a little elasticity. If I see someone around for a while and we've talked about this before, and they're out of character, and it's like really kind of out of character, I'll sometimes will reach out to the individual, be like, yo, what's up? Because it's just not normal, right? So I don't know. But in terms of balancing that, like, I also, when new people come in, because, it's, for me, it's still manageable. For you, I don't know if it is or not. I would assume no. But when new people come in, and sometimes when they say where they're from, or if they say they're new, to me, that's like an at-bat. Like, I think it's, especially on Twitch, I don't think it's easy to get people in the door. So if someone's new and at bat, it's been really cool to see. Like, I'll try to at least, thank the person for checking it out. But also, like, I noticed the community does a great job of like welcoming that person as well, which makes it even, like, it brings it to my attention even more, which is pretty cool. All right, then we'll take 2 more questions. This is I guess a personal, not personal, but specific to you. So how are the NL stand-ins going to be handled? I misread this. So for you, you have any plans to continue the NLSS while you're gone?
No, I've been telling people, like, don't ask me.
Okay.
Okay. If anybody, like, if anybody wants to be like, hey, while he's gone, we're going to run something during the same time slot, like, that's totally fine. But it's not even like, I'm not upset about it, but people will be like, are you going to get people to host the show? And I'm like, it's not like we run like a company where I'm getting people to cover my shifts. Like, if they want to stream then stream then. But I'm not going to be like, hey, Corey, you have to be live on Mondays from 3 to 6, and then
I
Rob,
want
you're gonna do
Monster
the
Train. I want Isaac, and I want some Fall Guys.
I'm like, just do your thing. Will there be no NLSSs? I have no idea. It's really up to the streamers. If anything, it'll be a nice break for them as well. To on Monday, Wednesday, they can play whatever they want. They don't have to play golf, Trackmania, and Fall Guys.
I misread the question, but the question is also for Check the Wire, which I think is an applicable question. So is it going to be like, so Ryan's gone, we've talked about having, people come in, different people each week. They said, is it going to be like an interview? No. For me, I haven't talked about this with Ryan, and this is the first time he's hearing it. I just want to have someone come in and fill Ryan's shoes, W's of the week. What are they going to do in the lab, and just kind of run it like that? There'll be like a little bit of an intro segment, but it's not going to be like an interview podcast. And I think it'll be cool to have, different perspective. All right. And then the last one, this is a very, for me, it's not a prickly question. Someone may take this as prickly, but Zero Cross X says, how do you balance out team unity? Ryan Gary normally has 3,000 viewers, while the rest of you have 300 to 500 viewers. So how do you handle that, Ryan?
It's a quality position to be in, don't get me wrong. The downside is that you also get the bulk of the chat, which on Unity is like sometimes is awesome, and sometimes I'm like, I just hate it. But so the thing is, squad streaming, you're hoping is like was going to be something that balances it for sure, but it doesn't really balance it, because I think that the view count just goes to whoever is on the main frame, which is up to the user, I think, at the end of the day. So I would answer the question, I guess, more generally. Like, this is something that's happened in the past as well. Like when we do YouTube series with like 6 or 7 people, my video might get 20,000 views, and like some people's might get like 300. But what can you do at the end of the day? I guess, when you have the larger viewer count, you just say like, well, people are doing it because they like being a part of it. They're having fun with it. It's a little exposure for them, maybe. But then the second thing is always having like an out, where I never want to like pressure people into doing something that they feel like if anybody involved with Unity is like, oh, I get like 100 views during Unity, if my normal stuff gets like 5 times that, I would rather just do my normal stuff on Tuesdays instead. Then I would be like, dude, get it. Like, you got to take care of your own, you got to take care of yourself first. So it's a combination of like, having understanding there, and also not being like you were forced into this. If it works for all of us, that's great. If it doesn't work for somebody, then it would be nice to find a way to work around it. Or if you want to do something else, and that makes sense too.
Yeah. On my end, the only thing that is a concern for me, which really is neither here nor there, is that it's not a typical show for me where I'm more engaged with the audience. So that's the only thing that's my concern, but it is what it is. Like in exchange for that, you're getting, banter that's you normally wouldn't get on a show. So I don't look at it like that at all. Like, I know, like, oh, Ryan Gary's got 15. I just don't look at it like that. The one thing I will say though, and we've been talking about like how to like spice up Unity a little bit. The one thing I know that I want to, and I'm pushing for it live, and I'm sure Ryan's gonna say, yeah, it's not a big deal. I remember back in the day when we would do PUBG at the end, and this is something I would take ownership of. We'd always say, hey, what's going on? What do you got going on the rest of the week? And I remember there's been a couple times like, hey, someone would say to me, hey, I found you because of the PUBG, Unity sessions. And at the end, we used to say, hey, here's what's going on this week if you want to check that out. And we've strayed away from that. But to me, that's like, that's not the reason that I do it. It's because it's fun. I think it's entertaining. And it's like, I've said it a million times, like kind of like my guys' night or whatever. Like, I really enjoy it. But I think that is something that could be like beneficial to like, not balance it out, because that's not the right word, but I think could equally benefit everyone. It's not like me, Melf, and Apollo are just like, oh yeah, check out our stream. It's like everyone, like if Ryan's doing Mystery Science Theater 3000, there's people that may not watch him or whatever on one of our side, like, yeah, I want to check that out. So I think that's something that I want to, institute back in that doesn't combat that, but to me, it's not a concern. But I think that's a valid question, because like, I think people wonder that. And it kind of, to me, ties back to like why are you doing it, right? So like if you're doing it to like blow up on Twitch or whatever, that's probably not the best thing. But if you enjoy it and you put on a good show, like all that other stuff kind of follows. So that's my take on it.
I mean, I think your take is more important because it's from the position of the question asked for sure. The only thing I would say as well is like we've dealt with this a lot on the NLSS in the past as well, where it might be like 6,000 versus like 60 viewers, and I think the way that you make up for that is you make it as easy as possible for people to cooperate with you, which is why like sometimes if I was the exclusive directorial force behind the show, the games that we play would be different than the games that we sometimes play. But you're like, hey, yeah, the numbers would be better for me if we play X instead of Y. But if you're miserable and also you're getting like 1/8 of your normal viewer count and you're working for free, basically, then yeah, we can compromise on that to make it as easy as possible for you.
And my other take on it too, and this is a little bit more hotter take, is that if you're not happy with the number of people that are watching during Unity, maybe like do make people incentivized to watch you, like AKA like, like Warzone, I gotta hit more headshots or whatever. You know what I mean? Like have a reason. But that's why I don't look at it like that. I'm like, and I think to kind of wrap things up, I think the second in anything, whether in YouTube, Twitch, or whatever you're into, the second, if you're in art, second you start comparing to someone else, it's hard to ever combat that because you just got to worry about where you are. With that being said, thank you guys so much for tuning in to episode 29. We only have a few left before Ryan goes on paternity, but thank you guys for the 477 reviews on iTunes. I'm not saying the community's guaranteed we're gonna get that hit to 500 before Ryan Gary's gone, but I'm not saying that either. If you guys enjoyed the show and you want to check out the video perspective, check out youtube.com/northernlion. And as always, we'll see you on Spotify, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Google Play every Tuesday at 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you guys so much for tuning in.